Welcome, everybody, to the Midtown Video Show with Jesse Miller. Tonight, I would like to start off with a segment I've really been looking forward to. This segment is called Be Our Guest. Tonight's show is totally guest-driven. We're so happy to have him here. Please welcome, live via Skype from Portland, Oregon, Mr. Kanen Flowers. Kanen, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much.
I should be more enthusiastic. I'm sorry. I'm great. What's up?
All right, you're totally
Go Heat.
awesome. I really appreciate you joining us on the show tonight. We love talking with filmmakers, and you are among the busiest of filmmakers. You got a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. We're in post-production on 2 features and a television show right now.
So the first topic I'd like to speak with you about is one of these features, and it is the one that I referred to as the first feature film shot on the Blackmagic cinema camera. What's the title of this film?
It's Hero Punk. It's so we came up with the title Hero Punk because it is a superhero cyberpunk film. It takes place in the year 2042 in a version of San Francisco that has been basically destroyed. And it's about superheroes and aliens and technology, cyberpunk, like Neuromancer or The Matrix.
Okay, so it's live action, human actors,
Yep.
but it takes place in sort of a virtual world. Let me know what the effect that you were going after on this.
Oh man, so, boy, this is a really ambitious and kind of psychotic endeavor that we undertook. We shot, I'm trying to remember how many shooting days. I want to say 21 shooting days, which doesn't sound like a lot, except it was 21 shooting days in a studio on an 1,100 square foot green screen.
Yeah.
And the entire film is shot on green screen. There's not a single piece of footage that wasn't shot on green screen. So every single thing in the film, every single background is replaced. Every single aspect of the film is composited and it contains visual effects.
So in order to get the most out of your cameras and the footage that you're recording, you decided you had to shoot on.
Well, we shot on the Blackmagic cinema camera. I mean, we were actually very, very lucky. The project was broken into 2 different shooting schedules, and so we shot the first half of it in, I want to say, late January of last year. And we had, as far as I know, we had 3 of the only 7 Blackmagic cinema cameras in existence.
Wow, this is when everybody in the world was waiting for their Blackmagic cinema camera to ship.
Well, us too, right? We were screaming for it.
So you had 3 of the only 7 in existence.
Yeah, we were very lucky. We have a lot of friends, including Josh and Jason Diamond, who were off on the East Coast. They're out of New York, and so they loaned us one, and it was so hilarious. Paul Del Vecchio, who is our cinematographer, actually picked up one of the cameras from them, one of the cameras I think from Able Cinema, and then Paul had one for some other inexplicable reason that I don't understand. I think Blackmagic gave us one to give to bring, or so there was some craziness. Anyway. He put all of those in a Pelican case, got on a plane, and flew in, and literally arrived at 1:30 p.m. the day before we started shooting. We had not even, up until that point, we, like everyone else in the world, we had never turned one of those cameras on or even looked through the viewfinder on it.
We didn't believe they existed.
No, we didn't either.
So this is the
I guess we might be shooting on a red.
This is the 2.5K cinema camera.
That's right.
So this is like early 2013.
Yeah, it was first month of, it was like the end of January of 2013.
So I'd just like to prepare you. We've got about 1 billion viewers on the internet that watch our show regularly.
Sure.
And all of Midtown Video customers, one of their favorite stuff is Blackmagic cinema cameras. So just in case anybody's watching out there, had some questions about shooting, had some workflow questions, we may interrupt you with a question coming in from the internet. But
sure.
I'd like to bring up a production still that you offered us from Hero Punk. It shows sort of 2 side-by-side images of a guy with a face mask and a machine gun. Talk to me about what we're looking at here.
So as I said, the entire thing was shot on green screen. So what you're looking at here is you're looking at a shot. So we shot flat, like a lot of people do. We didn't try and embed color. And that was especially important because we needed the latitude of the green screen. We didn't know what it was going to look like or feel like. We didn't know how we were going to key it. We shot some of it in ProRes, and then we quickly found that Cinema DNG worked a lot better for keying.
Okay.
The problem, well, okay, I'll just tell you about this. So what you're looking at is you're looking at the flat before version, and then you're looking at the color corrected, still the color corrected version afterwards.
Well, what we're looking at really is the compressed internet version of those 2 versions.
Sure.
But please continue.
Yeah, so what we found, and this is a real, I mean, at the time, and actually until recently, this is also true. Cinema DNG was kind of a pain in the butt, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever shot Cinema DNG, but for a long time, well, first of all, you cannot play it back in real time. That's a joke.
Right. You used to only be able to work with it in DaVinci.
That's right. That's right. So that's what we did. We pulled it into DaVinci, and then we used DaVinci to convert it to 2.5K ProRes.
Okay.
Which worked great. I was really happy with the way that DaVinci did that. It was, or Resolve, I should say, the way that Resolve did that. Now, of course, Premiere Pro and all these other things edit it natively.
So Premiere Pro currently in the CS6.5 or whatever it is working with Cinema DNG natively, you're saying?
Yeah, Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro CC now has native Cinema DNG support. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Which is great, but it's also not super helpful because you still can't play it back in real time.
Right.
So what we found is, what you end up having to do is you end up having to take all of your Cinema DNG footage, convert it to ProRes, do all of your work, and then when you go back for the final grade, you relink to the original Cinema DNG files and then grade it.
Cool.
Because
so
you get the high quality of the Cinema DNG there.
Another project I want to speak with you about, also shot on Blackmagic cameras, but not made for film. This is a television or maybe a web series project you did called 1820. Can you introduce that for me?
Sure. So 1820 used to be called String Theory, and we had to change the name because it turns out there's a bunch of television and film called String Theory.
Right.
I think there's even a Tyler Perry movie called String Theory, which is about relationships. I'm not surprised, by the way. Tyler Perry has every movie title you ever thought you would ever make, he has, but not the movie you would have made. So we're calling it 1820. The reason we call it 1820 is because it's about a young girl, Maple, who travels through time, and she's traveling through time with her grandfather, and her grandfather was in an accident, and he's trapped inside of a balloon. So it's a young time-traveling girl going through time with her grandfather who's in a balloon. And 1820 refers to they can only stay in each time for 18 hours and 20 minutes. And if they don't jump again, then they're trapped in that time period.
Forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Cool.
And for the nerds in the audience, the reason for that is because the computers could only handle 65,535, which was the highest integer number that they could handle at the time when the grandfather created the time travel machine. And so that turns out to be 18 hours and 20 minutes.
I need to correct you for a moment. You said for the nerds in the audience. We're made up entirely of nerds.
Oh, okay. For everyone in the audience.
So there was a really special way of collaborating to create this 1820. I want to show a clip that sort of highlights that, and then maybe you'll talk us through it. So Verge, can we run the making of 1820?
So we have over a dozen artists located all over the world working on 1820 and all of the other projects we do here at that studio.
So you've likely seen the teaser for String Theory, but we wanted to talk you through a little bit of the workflow for it.
I'm done! We're live at the scene at the Timberline Lodge. Professor Ruth, how do you feel about being eaten and torn asunder by the beast?
Well, I'm not really happy about it.
The scenes I am cutting together are two action scenes. One takes place in a basement and one takes place in a snowstorm. I put temp effects in to show the basic movement of the creatures and also to provide a reference for the visual effects artist.
I've received the edit from Monica, and the first thing I'm going to do is I want to grab all these shots that we've got temp VFX and then send them over to After Effects with dynamic linking.
In several shots, we used After Effects integration with Cinema 4D to block out the animation and make sure that everything is fine and that we can proceed.
Kanen was very helpful in telling us exactly how he wanted the time warp bubble to look, and once the base effect for this was set up, David Ariev went in and gave it the cool, solar flare look.
One of the things that was discussed is whether or not the existing mesh of a creature model could handle a hair simulation.
I'm a big fan of open fifth chords, so we took that down the octave because we wanted to sound really aggressive.
With this type of tease, there was no dialogue at all. So what we had to come up with is the sound of the whole teaser. So I got the session from Joseph. He did the basic layout, so to speak, and now my task is the final mix, the mastering, sound design elements.
So because Kanen had sent me a single QuickTime file, I used the scene change detect to break it up into the clips you see here in the timeline. That made it easier to get my grades back to Kanen. All I had to do was save a look for each shot, and that in the Finder then creates look files as well as a JPEG thumbnail. And Kanen then took these looks that you see here right back into Premiere and applied to each clip the Lumetri effect.
The effect as the guy leaves the basement is cool. We should use that same effect when he appears in the snow to kind of tie it all together.
The creature looks really good, but it doesn't seem to be interacting with the snow very well. When it takes that first launch, I think it should kick up some snow.
Not bad. Now, I think there's a version of this that might be interesting if we take that shot of Maple in the basement and move it to the end of the piece, so we have a nice button at the end.
The integration between Premiere and SpeedGrade and After Effects and Cinema 4D, we found that by combining all of these elements together, we were actually able to create these amazing scenes where each component was done by, in many cases, a different artist, and in many cases, all over the world.
Kill your volume, please.
So we have over a dozen.
All right, welcome back. That was a clip on the collaborative effort on the making of 1820. We're joined, if you're just joining us, by Mr. Kanen Flowers of thatstudio.com. 1820 is his time travel piece shot exclusively on the Blackmagic cinema camera and the Blackmagic Pocket cinema camera. Talk to me about shooting in the snow. Kanen, I wonder if we've. I'm having a little trouble.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Now
Yeah,
I've gotcha.
my apologies.
No problem. So once
so
again,
just,
talk to me about shooting in the snow.
Yeah, so I'm saying a lot of the snow was actually visual effects. So a lot of the snow itself wasn't actually falling down. And I can talk a little bit about that afterwards, but I actually have a prop, which you probably saw earlier.
Nice.
This is what we shot on. We actually went out. It was the craziest thing. So we went out and shot with this in the snow. Obviously portable, as you can see. But it was great because we had a slider, and the slider was actually freezing up and icing over and was unable to move, but the camera just kept going. So I think we spent about 9 hours out in the snow with making people run around and.
When was the last time your slider failed before your camera failed? That's pretty impressive.
I can't remember it. Yeah. No, it was pretty insane. I was really worried, as you might imagine. I mean, this hadn't been out that long when we shot it, and I was really worried about it handling those temperatures, but it handled it just fine.
So what's the lens mount on the Pocket Cinema camera?
So this is a MFT lens
Okay.
mount, and so we're actually using, in this case, we're actually using a 17 millimeter Olympus. I mean, with the crop factor, that works out to close to 35 millimeter, which is kind of what you want. But
about a 2x crop factor.
Yeah, 2.5, 2.4, something like that.
All right. So in the 1820 clip, we saw several different locations. You've got a graphics editor over here. You've got a sound compositor over there. Talk to me about what it's like to work with filmmakers all over the world.
Well, it feels like kind of the natural evolution of things, right? Like we've always wanted to do that, but we haven't really been very good at it. So as a sort of recovering technologist myself, I got into this place where I was thinking, like, surely this can be solved with technology. And at first we were shipping hard drives around, which was kind of a nightmare. And so we ended up, these days we use something called BitTorrent Sync, which is not BitTorrent the way that you think about it. It's actually, it's like Dropbox, right? You just point it to a folder and then it synchronizes it across everyone.
You get a UDP connection, you get nice fast data transfer rates as fast as your ISP can carry you.
Yeah, and because we have over 40 people working around the world, once people start seeding, it just goes crazy, right? So you get 40 some odd people share. So we've shared directories as big as like a terabyte, or 2 terabytes. I mean, it's been really big directories. So that's the first step, is getting footage to everyone. And then we use a product called Trello, Trello. Trello, we use that. It's a card-based management system. So we use that. We just drag around, oh, do this, do that. And then we use Whipster for review. And so between all of those different things, and then between, like Dropbox for project files, and you saw the Adobe workflow. I mean, we have stuff, we just basically have artists working on different components of it all over the place, and then putting those components in Dropbox or BitTorrent sync. It's worked out really well. I mean, we have people as far away as Poland or Germany, and
so
I'm in Portland right now.
You choose your team members in a sort of special way. You sort of audition people.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the Artist Challenge.
So the Artist Challenge came out of, at one point we were getting something like 500 people a day submitting their reels to us. And that happened for about 2 weeks, and it was driving us insane. And we found out that despite what you might think, people actually lie in their reels and in their resumes.
Or maybe they just embellish.
Yeah. I worked on Coraline. No, you didn't. So what we came up with is this thing called an Artist Challenge, which is you submit to us that you want to be part of the team. And what we do is we give you footage or audio or whatever you need for the thing that you're submitting for. So let's say if you said, oh, I'm going to do 3D animation, we would give you a 2-hour challenge that's 3D animation. And what we do is if we accept you, we actually pay you $50, not much, but it adds up. We pay you, and then you submit back to us the thing that the thing that's part of the challenge. And then we put that challenge up, and we have our team members review it. And if we get a major majority of people giving you a thumbs up, we make you an offer.
Cool. And so the artists that were working on 1820, were any of those successful Artist Challenge champions?
Yeah, everyone was. So everyone from David to pretty much everyone was. I think the only couple people that were not were Bart, because I'd known him for a long time and worked with him and trusted him, and then Monica Daniel, who is just a phenomenal editor who I'd known forever. But pretty much everyone else went through a challenge process. Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, I would like to turn the microphone over to Debbie with a question coming in from the internet.
Sure.
It's not really a question, but you're getting a shout out from somebody that worked on the project. His name is Jason.
All right, Jason, a member of the 1820 team, wanted to give you a quick shout out. Jason, thanks for watching the show. Man. Totally awesome.
Hey, Jason. Enjoy LA. The weather's great today.
Oh, Los Angeles, one of our potential defeated foes in the finals of the NBA playoffs. So on thatstudio.com, there's one subsection where you're really giving back to the independent filmmaking community. It's the place called Indie Essentials. Tell me what you guys have put together for on the Indie Essentials page.
Sure. So I think everyone would probably agree with me that the best kind of effects are practical visual effects. You can do a lot with plugins, but if you start with really good source and reference material like fire and smoke and flames and ice and snow and all that you just get a better end result, right? Because it's really hard to fake fire or water or snow or these things. So there's a really amazing company that's been around for a while. It's this guy Sean Mullen started a company called Rampant Design Tools, and they made the best practical visual effects that we had ever used. We've been using them for about a year. We fell in love with them. So what we did is we partnered with them. We have a strategic alliance where we basically took over every single one of their 2K products, and we call that Indie Essentials. And then they kept their high resolution ProRes 4K and 5K stuff, and they call that Studio Essentials. We have this great strategic alliance where we're constantly adding to it. But the way to put that in perspective for you is, before we did this strategic alliance, Indie Essentials, which was at the time called the Rampant Extreme Drive, it was about $7,000.
Wow.
And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to partner with the guys at Rampant and come up with a way to make it affordable for independent content creators and independent filmmakers. So the alliance allowed us to drop the price to $399, and you get all the stuff that was on the Extreme, all the good stuff that was on the Extreme Drive. You get a bunch of new stuff that wasn't on the Extreme Drive, and then we're constantly creating new content. Like we just added all kinds of gradient lights, and we just added light leaks and all this other stuff. Plus, you get sound effects, muzzle flashes, monster effects. Get all this great stuff that as an independent filmmaker, like let's say tomorrow you wanted to go out and make a zombie movie. Indie Essentials has literally everything from audio to video to monster effects that you would want to really help make that dream happen.
So if you are an independent filmmaker and you're working on a zombie or any kind of movie, and you need to add practical digital effects that will work in After Effects, Final Cut, Premiere.
Works in everything.
Works in every editing format.
QuickTime
Go to thatstudio.com. Let's see Kanen's title up there. Go to thatstudio.com and find the Indie Essentials page, where you can find, not for $7,000 but for $400, the entire suite of digital effects available.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it too is it's when you buy it, you get it for life, and you get every update that we ever add to it. And so we've added 25 new assets or 25 new packages to it just in the 6 weeks since we've launched it. So we're constantly adding stuff too.
So Kanen, I want to just chat for a moment about that post-show. We here at the Dot Video Show, the Midtown Video Show, are big fans of, periodically released video content on the internet designed for television and film professionals. Tell me a little bit about that post-show.
So that post-show was started in March of 2007, and it was a slog. We had like at the first probably year we had less than 100 listeners. But I always wanted a show, and I thought there was room for it. I always wanted a show that was kind of like Charlie Rose for Post, right, where you could actually sit down and have a meaningful conversation with people about who they are and what they're doing, and really talk about like the process of post-production.
Okay.
And so that post-show is that show. It's the show that I want to hear, where I actually get to be in the room with people, talking about the struggles that they go through and the problems that they're having, the ways that they resolve and solve those problems. And so yeah, it's on iTunes, it's on thatpostshow.com. It's just it's a polite, although sometimes I can be a bit argumentative, conversation with post-production professionals. Oh, we also talk to filmmakers and all kinds of different people. We've had just such a great set of guests.
All right, so we've talked a lot about some of your recent stuff, Hero Punk, 1820, your current and long-lasting project, the Post Show. Tell me about something you did 10 years ago, man. Blow me away.
So 10 years ago, I was a working visual effects artist in Hollywood, and I worked on Star Wars and King Kong and some things like that. And actually, even more recently, there was a film called Zombies, which I did color work and visual effects.
And that was A-H-H-H-H-H exclamation point.
Yeah, Zombies.
Right.
I love that show. It's one of the shows that's nearest and dearest to my heart, because I was so intimately involved with it, and I love the show so much. I mean, imagine a zombie comedy. It just really doesn't get. I mean, if it were a musical on top of that, it would be the best.
Well, once again, filmmaker, studio director, and voice for independent filmmaking, Kanen Flowers, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Oh man, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That was awesome. Thank you. All right.